What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Hot Shots. I'm JD Johnstone. With me always are my two favorite co-hosts. It's the Houdini and Deepaw. What's poppin', boys?
Dude, why do you put the in front of Houdini?
There's only one Houdini.
No, there's not.
Not the way you spell it, though, so it's a little different.
Okay, okay, I buy that. All right, sorry. What up?
What's up, Deepaw?
Dude, not much. Just listen to the Dino over here defend his position.
Today we got a special quick episode for you today. Today we're going to be ranking best trades at the 2023 MLB Trade Deadline, which ended at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, August 1st. I'm going to start it off. My number 3, Randall Grichuk and CJ Cron, for two minor leaguers, not prospects, went to the Angels. The prospects went over to the Rockies. I personally love this. The Angels are building for a postseason push. We want to see this. If you're a sports fan, you want to see Trout and Ohtani in the playoffs. Earlier this week, they acquired Lucas Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez. Just nice ads. Going to get Trout back by the end of this year and make a run for it. Give yourself a chance. Just to give into a little bit of numbers real quick, Randall Grichuk is hitting .307 with 9 bombs and an .867 OPS. Wow. I know some people may think that he was at Coors. Maybe that's, it's not exactly what it would be playing in Anaheim, but look, the Angels lack something. They lack a lot of offense. How many times do we talk about, and anybody that watches baseball sees that Ohtani got in all the runs for the Angels? Clearly they're struggling offensively. I think Randall Grichuk could help with this. CJ Cron, batting .258, 11 bombs with a .771 OPS. Not what you want. You could say the opposite thing about it, is that he's not even doing well in Coors Field. But again, this is a guy that had multiple seasons of 40 homer seasons. So if you're willing to bet on a guy for a rental, CJ Cron I feel like is the guy, and you didn't really give anything up. You gave up two minor leaguers that weren't even your prospects. I think this is a fantastic deal.
It's definitely a great trade. It's not on my list, but it's definitely a great trade. My only issue with the Angels going for this is who you're chasing. That's my only issue with this, is you're going to have to leapfrog the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, the Astros, and the Rays.
Yeah, I gotta commend the GM for going for it. I think it was the wrong call. I would have traded Ohtani, but he said he's going for it, and they're making the trades to make it happen. Interesting tidbit. One of the prospects in that deal was a kid drafted, I think, in like the 3rd or 4th round here locally where I am. So that's pretty cool that he was involved in a pretty high-profile trade. Yeah. Jake Madden. Shout out East Penn.
And by the way, they don't need to jump. I'm sorry, they don't need to jump the Astros and the Rays. They need to jump the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. So I do think they have a legitimate shot to do it. I think it is a fantastic trade, and you're going to have to make moves like this when you're tied up in one of the worst contracts in the history of sports, which is what Anthony Rendon has.
Yeah. Dino, who's your number 3?
My number 3 is Michael Lorenzen to the Phillies. Okay, Michael Lorenzen has a 3.58 ERA. He's 5-7 with a 1.1 WHIP, right? So you're talking about a guy who, in his last 24 innings, has allowed 3 earned runs. Okay, so the Phillies are obviously going for it too. They didn't lose anything basically from their World Series team, right? They have Nola, Wheeler, Walker, Lorenzen. Now that's kind of be their their 4-piece, and right now they're currently holding on to a wild card spot. I feel like this is a perfect move for them to kind of solidify the staff. They know what they're going to have during the stretch. The offense is starting to come around a little bit, and to be honest with you, they're kind of exciting to watch. Just like they made a run last year, I think they're more than capable to make another run this year.
Yeah, I like that. I like that move. They gave up I think their number 5 prospect for it, but he played second base. They had Bryson Stott there. Bryson Stott's the future, great ball player. So you got to commend him for going for it. And they didn't need a stud. They didn't need to be in on one of the marquee guys, a Scherzer or Verlander or anything like that. They needed an innings eater and a dude who's not going to lose a game for you, and that's Lorenzen.
Love that move. Yeah, if you get somebody that's really hot right now, you were just saying last 24 innings, I think 3 earned runs only.
Yep.
3 earned runs in the last 24 innings.
Yeah, I mean, you want somebody that's hot, especially going down the stretch when you're trying to hold on to a wild card spot with a really good NL East, because you have the Braves, the Phillies, and the Marlins are also doing well. I mean, the Mets are clearly out of it now, and the Nationals were never in it. But the Marlins are in there kicking it too, so you've got to solidify yourself a little bit.
But let's be realistic. They're not catching the Braves. They're 11 games back.
Yeah.
They're not going to catch the Braves.
Oh, obviously, I wasn't implying that, but yeah.
But
it's a competitive division is what I'm saying.
It's a very competitive division, and I think it's going to continue to get competitive over the years. But obviously, they're playing for the wild card. But they made the World Series last year on a wild card run. So once you get in, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So my number 3, speaking of the Marlins, Jedi, Jake Berger getting traded from the White Sox to the Marlins. Dude is an absolute power hitter. 25 dingers, 52 RBIs.
Wow.
Good hitter. He's streaky. He strikes out a ton. I think he was only hitting like 214 or 215 or something. So they know exactly what they're getting. They're getting pop in the lineup. And if the Marlins do make the playoffs, I guarantee he's going to be one of the big reasons why.
Yeah, a very underrated pick or trade. Sorry, I didn't really dig into that one a whole lot. I didn't realize Jake Burgers was having that great of a season. I know that they ended up getting Josh Bell also and traded Gene Segura away. Gene Segura was not having the season that the Marlins expected, batting .219. He was on the Phillies last year in that World Series team. Was a huge reason for their success. Normally a pretty good contact hitter, not having the season though. That's a good trade, though, for the Marlins. I'm excited. Being from Florida, I want to go to a playoff game. I got a taste of it last year living in Manhattan, getting to go to the Yankees playoff games, a bunch of them. So I want to see the Marlins make the playoffs. Maybe they go on a run. I get to see, like, the Braves or something. Maybe the Dodgers. Who knows? I'm excited.
It's rare to see the Marlins be buyers at a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that they're also... I want to say they're going for it, but they're going for it. You know what I mean?
As much as the Marlins can,
Yeah, but I don't think it's enough. I think it's good. I don't think he's not in his walk year, is he?
No way.
Yeah, so I think that's more interesting to me than if they make the playoffs. I think this is more of a move 2 or 3 years down the road because I do think they're close.
Yeah, I'm just happy they actually kept a lot of their top prospects. They traded away Jake Eaters, who was actually in the Josh Bell deal, I think, with Gene Segura. Or was he in the what? No, he was in the Jake Burgers deal. Jake Eaters, yeah, he went to the White Sox. So, and he was their number 4 prospect. So they didn't give up a whole lot. Still kept their top 3 guys. But I'm gonna keep my number 2 because I know it might be similar to your guys' number 1, and I don't want to spoil that. So Dino, will you go with your number 2 first?
Yeah, my number 2 is, and I told you guys last podcast, I'm not watching the Yanks the rest of the year. Like, I wasn't lying about that. I am fully on the Baltimore Orioles train. Jack Flaherty to the O's is massive for them, and I'll explain why. The dude's thrown 109 innings this year, right? I look at his 4.43 ERA, and I kind of shrug that off. He is a career 41-31 pitcher. He's joining a staff with Bradish, Kramer.
If anyone just saw that, Dean's phone just fell.
There he is.
Sorry. He's joining a staff with Bradish and Kramer. Dude, their top 4 arms all have less than a 1.35 whip, right? So when you're talking about the Orioles, you're not talking about a staff that's going to come in here and blow... What?
The door just like magically opened behind you.
To fucking die.
Looks like a ghost just came in.
Max, dude. Max is snooping around, bro. Y'all tripped me out right there.
Well, bro, wait till you see the video. The door just slowly crept open.
Yeah, it was like a horror movie, man.
And I looked at each other.
Dude, I think this house is haunted too, dude. I think they just want to hang with me.
It's the aliens.
You were at Radish.
Yeah,
you were at the staff.
Yeah, dude. So like when you look at their top 4 arms, all having less than a 1.35 whip, you start to realize that like they don't have gunslingers that are exciting to watch.
No.
They're not gonna go out and win a ball game every single time, but they're gonna give you a chance to win a ball game every single day, right? So I think that's the part with the Orioles that they're kind of going with is it's probably one of the most complete teams in baseball, and it's not complete yet. They just play a good brand of baseball, and when you have arms that can keep this at bay, right, you're going to get a chance. Not only to mention, obviously, they lead the AL East.
Love it. Number 2 for me, kind of another, under the radar one here. I went more truly at the deadline, deals that happened right before the deadline came down. Paul Sewald, the closer for the Mariners, going to the D-backs. D-backs are having a great year, but the pen has been atrocious. I mean, atrocious. I think they're like 28th in baseball out of the bullpen. So they went out and got a stud. They clearly met a need that they had. Sewald doesn't have your typical closer stuff where he's going to blow you away with 99, 100 plus. I think his fastball max is like 92, 93, but he's got good movement and it's a deceptive delivery. So I got to commend the D-backs having a great year, going out and getting a guy that they absolutely need.
Ended up trading away Andrew Chafin too, who was their guy last year, but not having the same year.
Chafin is disgusting in the show.
Oh yeah, from the show in real life is a little different though, Dino.
I don't care. He is disgusting. Him and Aaron Loop out of the pen. Oh my god.
That bull from the White Sox. I forget his name. I'll remember it.
But DePaul, I like that pick a lot. My number 2 now. I hope you guys aren't going to get mad at me. I feel like I'm going to get flamed for this, but I'll have reasonings for my number 1. My number 2 is Justin Verlander returning to the Astros. The Astros gave up their number 1 prospect in Drew Gilbert, and a minor league outfielder, Ryan Clifford also. Gilbert is now ranked 4th in the New York Mets system, but this is the reason why I don't like it. The Mets are paying a combined $35 million for Verlander's 2023 and 2024 salary, and they'd pay half of his $33 million salary in 2025 if his vesting option vests. He has to, I believe, pitch a certain number of innings to make that be approved. And in all total, they're paying $52.5 million of the nearly $93 million that will still be paid on his deal pending this option. Yeah, I don't really like how much they're paying, and I feel like they didn't get like a huge guy. Drew Gilbert is killing it right now in the minor leagues. He's batting well. I think he's batting like 336. Dude's killing it. Dude's probably going to be in the show soon. Was drafted, I think, last year out of Tennessee. But I don't know, man. I feel like they could have gotten a little bit more because Verlander had this track record of his last like 8 or 9 starts to where it was the Verlander of last year, whereas to Scherzer was kind of going like iffy, kind of back and forth.
Yeah, for the pod and for the list, Dean and I both have Verlander as number 1. That's why kind of Jedi just leads perfectly into it. So we'll just jump into our number 1 right here because we're both going to be talking about Verlander. I love the deal. Mets cut bait. I know it's a big financial hit, but they got a billionaire owner, so it doesn't really seem to matter for 2 years. Interesting caveat in that vesting option you're talking about, Jedi. He also has to finish that year completely healthy. Can't be on like the IL or have any injury designation at all.
Wow.
Too, so that's interesting. And for the Mets too, they deal Scherzer, they deal Verlander. They're going to be going after 2 starting pitchers next year, and next year's starting pitching class is loaded. Ohtani, Nola, Snell, Urias, Giolito, Eduardo Rodriguez we're talking about, Stroman, and Flaherty actually comes up on the with
not to cut you off, but also the big Japanese pitcher from the World Baseball Classic will also be a free agent.
Right. What do you think, Dean?
Dude, so look, it's a slam dunk, right? You get Verlander. Everyone knows that the Astros are normally the team to beat. He's basically going back home, so to speak. I think it's also a win for the Mets. They tried something. It didn't work.
Yep.
You shed the dead weight.
Yeah, you cut bait.
Yeah, but when you have an opportunity to go get Verlander, it's hard to say that they didn't win this deadline. Like it's hard to say, it's hard to disagree with that. But I don't think it's enough for them to win it this year.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with you on that. I think adding him is going to bring those good vibes back. I think they run it back-to-back this year.
I think it's kind of crazy that he was only gone for about like 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, why leave? I didn't understand.
Sell his house in Houston.
Yeah, like I get that the Astros now aren't paying the basically majority of the contract. That's a fact. I mean, the Mets are paying more than half of the remaining contract.
Yep.
I just don't understand, like, why did he go back? Like, so it almost makes me think that he really didn't want to leave this whole time.
No, he changed, dude. It's a money thing, man.
Yeah, the Mets threw the bag at him
Yeah.
for like
Probably what it
3-year
was,
deal
dude.
at 38 or whatever. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, they're definitely going to go on a run. They got their guy back. They got their ace. They have Valdez. They have Javier. I mean, they're loaded right now. My number one, though, moving on to it, I'm going to have to defend this. I know I am. It's Max Scherzer to the Texas Rangers, and I'll tell you why.
So
Tell
stupid,
us why,
dude.
Jedi.
When was that trade made?
This counts as the deadline, bro. Come on.
No, bro.
I think anything within 72 hours of the deadline is a trade deadline deal, bro.
No chance, Jedi.
Anyway, mine is Max Scherzer to the Rangers. They got Luis Angel Acuna, who's Ronald Acuna Jr.'s brother. Acuna actually says that his brother is more talented and skilled than he was at the age that Luis Angel Acuna is right now. He's going to be he was the third-ranked prospect in the Rangers organization and is now ranked the second-best prospect in the Mets organization. I think this is a fantastic trade for the Rangers. What a great way to add an ace, a pitcher, when Nathan Eovaldi goes down with a forearm strain. We know what that means. Sometimes that could lead to TJ. Eovaldi has had TJ twice. Hopefully he doesn't get it a third time because the dude is electric when he's on the mound. But Max Scherzer is going back to his original pitching coach from the Nationals. That's Mike Maddox. Ooh. Yes, that is Greg Maddox's brother. So I think that's the thing that's very exciting because maybe it's going to get him back on track to what he's doing. What are you laughing at? Shut up. And no, this is the big part. I hate Dean.
Oh, dude, do you know what's funny about that, bro? Do you know what's funny about that, bro? Do you know who Houdini's brother was?
Who?
Exactly. You don't give a fuck.
Oh my gosh. I didn't mean it like that, bro. Mike Maddox, bro, look at the people that he's coached. Max Scherzer turned into an absolute ace with the Nationals. You don't think that he had anything to do with that? On the Tigers, he had above a 3 ERA. On the Nationals, he had a sub 3 ERA his whole career there. How are you going to argue that the guy doesn't know pitching?
So I agree with what you're saying. I'm just making a point. Like, you say he's going back to his old pitching coach, Mike Maddox, and you felt the need to specify that it was Greg Maddox's brother.
I felt the need to say that because I like fun facts. Not that I actually care that it's Greg Maddox's brother. I find it interesting, and I know somebody listening to this was just appreciative that I said that because they're like, I wonder if he's related to Greg Maddox. You have to dive in like that, dickhead.
Yeah, back off, Dean. I'll fight you on site next time I see you.
I'm just saying.
Anyway, as I go back to my Scherzer rant for why it's the best trade deadline trade of the 2023 deadline, because the Rangers are only going to be paying $22.5 million of the remaining money owed to Scherzer. He also is triggering his player option, so you're guaranteeing him to get him next year for 2024, foregoing his opt-out opportunity, and he's still owed under $15 million for the remainder of this season on top of the $43 million next season, just north of a total of $48 million. So the Rangers are paying less than half of that, and the Mets are paying the rest, and they just got themselves an ace, and they got themselves an absolute dog that wants to win. And to prove how much he wants to win, which I actually think is hilarious, this article came out on The Athletic today. He said, I talked to Billy Epler. Epler is the GM for the Mets, and he actually threw the GM for the Mets, Billy Epler, under the bus. He said, I talked to Billy. I was like, okay, are we reloading for 2024? Billy Epler responded and said, no, we're not. Basically, our vision right now is for 25 and 2026. 25 is the earliest, more looking towards 2026. We're going to be making some trades around that. Scherzer responded and said, so the team is not going to be pursuing free agents this upcoming offseason or assembling a team that can compete for the World Series next year. Epler replied, no, we're not going to be signing any sort of star talent, and we're going to be making smaller deals within free agency 2024, and it's now looking more of a kind of transition year.
Dude,
I think it's funny that he threw him under the bus.
The Mets fan base will absolutely turn on them so fast.
And that is why Scherzer said okay to leaving the Mets, because he wants to win, dude, and I appreciate that. And just to mention a little bit more what I think is awesome, Rangers also acquired Jordan Montgomery and Chris Stratton from the Cardinals, and the Rangers still kept their top prospect in all of their deals.
Yeah, it's a good deadline for the Rangers, but also a great deadline for the Mets. I'm not going to go back on the fact that at least this team has a plan. At least they have a 5-year plan.
The 5-year plan from The Office.
From Big Daddy.
But,
Daddy, too. Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking of Michael Scott's 5-year plan. Anyway, though, that was our rank of the 2023 MLB trade deadline. Well, that's all for this podcast. Make sure to subscribe if you ever need any of your sports news. Then Hot Shots Podcast will always be the place for you. So follow us on all of our channels at Hot Shots Podcast on all platforms. We'll follow you back there. You guys got anything else, though, before we leave?
No,
Go
I'm
Bucks.
good. Go O's. Let's go O's. Let's go O's.